Hey guys, Mike here. So today's cult classic review is 1991's Naked Lunch, starring Peter Weller as Bill Lee. In Naked Lunch, after developing an addiction to a strange substance used to kill bugs, an exterminator accidentally kills his wife and becomes involved in a government conspiracy orchestrated by a giant bug in a part town in North Africa. And so we have Naked Lunch. So guys, this is a movie in this series that before reviewing and watching it today, I had not seen it before, nor had I ever heard of this movie. So really, I had no expectations going into it because I didn't even know what it was about. I just put on the movie and watched it. So, what did I think of Naked Lunch? Well, in a nutshell, I've got to say that this is one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my entire life. After watching this one, I had to actually look up the plot to tell you what happened in it because I just watched the movie and I could not tell you what happened in it. Before I start talking about all the negatives from Naked Lunch, I want to talk about some of the positives. So when the movie started, I saw that this was directed by David Cronenberg. And the reason I knew that name is because of the Rick and Morty episode where everyone gets Cronenberged. So from context, I imagine that he was someone who had a lot of crazy creature designs in his films. And one of his most notable movies was The Fly. And though I haven't watched The Fly, I've seen some of the creature designs from it and they look phenomenal. So I had hoped that at least the creature designs would be really good. And you know what? They were. They were all done with practical effects. They looked good. They looked really weird and out of the ordinary, and it was easily the best part about this film. Other than that, though, I would say that Naked Lunch has nothing else going for it. To start off, Peter Weller. Now, I do like Peter Weller. I've seen him in a handful of things, and he's always been quite good. But this has to be one of the worst mumbly performances I've ever seen an actor give. I almost actually considered putting on the subtitles because I couldn't understand a single word this guy said. And he's the main protagonist who's supposed to be pushing this story forward. And because of that, I had absolutely no idea what was going on. The supporting cast were a little bit better, but for the most part, I couldn't understand what they said either. I just wanted to go back in time to 1991, walk up to these actors and say, enunciate. And the story behind Naked Lunch is bizarre. It just kind of seemed to bumble from scene to scene, getting more and more weird and making less and less sense as it went on. I had to actually keep rewinding this movie because I kept falling asleep. And every time I opened my eyes, I thought that I missed 10 to 20 minutes of scenes because they were in a completely different location, talking about completely different things, and everything was just different. So I reminded, and I found out I'd only fell asleep for a minute or two. I have to be honest, I wanted to turn this movie off within the first 5 minutes. The only real reason I didn't turn this movie off was so I could review it in its entirety. And even though I did watch this one from start, middle, and end, I couldn't tell you any more about it from that first 5 minutes to the end. Realistically, I think this is probably one that I do need to watch again to give it a fair review. But having said that, I had such a bad experience watching this movie that I just do not have any interest in watching it again. For all I know, this is a cinematic masterpiece with one of the most layered and detailed stories with some of the best written characters in cinema. But for me personally, I found this one really hard to get through. It had bad acting, bad dialogue, fairly decent animatronics, but realistically nothing else going for it. So guys, would I consider Naked Lunch a personal cult classic, and would I recommend that you guys should see it? This is easily one of the worst movies that I've watched from this cult classic series, and also definitely one of the worst movies that I've watched, period. Like I said, there are probably one or two things I liked about it, but for the most part, I really hated this one. And as for whether you guys should see it or not, I would say, if you can, give this one a complete miss. Like I've said, I imagine there are quite a few good things in this one that it's earned its cult classic status, but I couldn't find any of them. So for that reason, I'm saying, don't watch this one. Okay guys, that's my cult classic review of Naked Lunch. Do you love it? Do you hate it? Whatever you think, drop it in the comments below. Until next time, I've been Michael. See ya.